The signal. The Meridian fleet emerged from subspace at the edge of the Sol system, a formation of sleek vessels that reflected starlight like polished obsidian. Commander Vex stood on the observation deck of the flagship, his four upper limbs clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic display of the system's third planet. "Curious," he said, his voice a harmonic rumble that resonated through the chamber. "All our scans indicate advanced technological development. Yet we detect no transmissions, no energy signatures consistent with an active civilization." Science Officer Nera moved beside him, her scaled skin shimmering under the ambient light. "The signal that brought us here originated from an artificial satellite in orbit around that planet. It has been broadcasting continuously for approximately 300 local years." "What does it say?" Vex asked, leaning forward. "The same message repeats. To all who find this, you chose incorrect. Do not follow. Nothing more." Vex's secondary eyes narrowed. The Meridian Collective had spent decades tracking down this signal, one of thousands detected throughout the galaxy, but unique in its persistence and clarity. Their civilization thrived on knowledge, collecting the wisdom and technologies of species across the stars. A warning from an unknown intelligence demanded investigation. "Prepare an exploration team," he ordered. "I want to know what happened to this world." The descent craft pierced Earth's atmosphere the following day, passing through thick clouds of dust and particulates that obscured the surface. As they broke through, the exploration team witnessed a landscape of desolation. Vast cities stood abandoned, their towering structures crumbling under centuries of neglect. Oceans had receded, leaving behind expanses of cracked earth. Forests had withered, replaced by fields of gray ash. "Life readings?" Nara asked as their craft circled above what once had been a sprawling metropolis. "Minimal," replied the sensor operator. "Simple organisms only. Nothing sentient." They landed in what appeared to be a central gathering place, a circular plaza surrounded by the remains of grand buildings. As the team disembarked, the silence was overwhelming. No birds, no insects, just the hollow moan of wind through empty structures. The atmospheric composition shows elevated levels of radioactive particles and synthetic compounds, Nara reported, studying her handheld scanner. Evidence of massive environmental alteration, possibly weaponized. Vex moved to the center of the plaza where a monument stood, partially collapsed but still recognizable as a representation of the planet's former inhabitants. They had been bipedal, with 2 arms and a single head, their bodies soft and unarmored. "How fragile they appear," he observed. Yet they built all this. The exploration team spread out, documenting everything they found. The evidence of the species' technological prowess was everywhere. Remnants of vehicles that had once traversed land, sea, and air. Communication devices more elegant than anything the Meridian had developed at a similar stage. Art that spoke of deep emotional capacity. "Commander," called one of the science team from a nearby structure. "We found something." Inside what appeared to be a knowledge repository, walls lined with deteriorating paper documents and damaged electronic storage devices, they discovered a sealed chamber. It took their engineers hours to breach the sophisticated locking mechanism, but eventually the heavy doors slid open to reveal a single pedestal. Above it hovered a holographic projection, cycling through images of the planet in its prime. Blue oceans, green continents, sprawling cities illuminated at night. "It's a time capsule," Nara whispered, "deliberately preserved." The hologram flickered, and a figure appeared, one of the planet's inhabitants, wearing what appeared to be formal attire. When it spoke, the ship's translation matrix struggled briefly before rendering its words. "If you are viewing this record, then Earth is likely no longer inhabited by humans. We leave this testament as both warning and confession. We achieved wonders, cured disease, extended life, reached for the stars. But in our pursuit of progress, we made a choice. We chose competition over cooperation, consumption over conservation, immediate gain over long-term survival." The figure's expression conveyed deep sorrow, a universal emotion that needed no translation. Our scientists warned us for generations. Our philosophers argued for restraint. Our children pleaded for change. But those with power chose to ignore them until it was too late. The cascading environmental failures, resource wars, and finally the terminus event, all preventable, all chosen. Back aboard the flagship, the Meridian Council convened to discuss their findings. The exploration had yielded terabytes of information about the human species, their history, achievements, and ultimate downfall. They destroyed themselves, said Elder Cole, the fleet's most experienced advisor. A common enough fate for evolving species. Not quite, Nara countered. Their records indicate they had the knowledge to prevent their extinction. They predicted the outcome decades before it occurred. They simply chose not to act. Vex studied the projected images of human civilization at its peak. What does their warning mean for us? You chose incorrect. It sounds like they believed we would make the same mistake. The council chamber grew quiet. Every member knew why the question resonated so deeply. The Meridian Collective had recently embarked on a controversial new direction, exploiting unstable dimensional energy to power their expansion. The benefits were immediate and transformative, but their own scientists had raised concerns about long-term consequences to space-time stability. This is different, Elder Cole insisted. Our dimensional harvesting is carefully regulated. We've run the simulations. The risk is minimal. So they thought too, Nara said softly. Their records show they always believed they had more time to reverse course. As the debate intensified, a report came in from the secondary exploration team. They had discovered a massive underground complex beneath what had once been a polar research station. Initial scans suggested it contained active power sources, the first signs of functioning technology they had found on the planet. We need to investigate further, Vex decided. Whatever these humans preserved there may help us understand their true message. What they would find beneath the ice would force the Meridian to confront not just humanity's past, but their own future. The legacy. The underground complex stretched for kilometers beneath the frozen wasteland, a labyrinth of laboratories, living quarters, and data centers. Unlike the ruins above, these facilities appeared almost pristine, preserved by sophisticated environmental systems that continued to function centuries after their creators had vanished. Remarkable engineering, Vex noted as the exploration team moved through brightly lit corridors that activated upon their presence. They designed this place to last. Commander, called one of the technicians, we're detecting an energy signature consistent with quantum computing. Something in this facility is still processing data. They follow the energy readings to a circular chamber at the complex's heart. As they entered, holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing star charts, mathematical equations, and models of what appeared to be dimensional gateways, eerily similar to the Meridian's own dimensional harvesting technology. A voice spoke, causing the entire team to freeze. Identify yourselves. It came from nowhere and everywhere, resonating with artificial precision. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the room. Humanoid but clearly not human, its form composed of flowing lines of code that shifted and reassembled continuously. I am Commander Vex of the Meridian Collective. Vex replied cautiously. We received your transmitted warning. The entity regarded them silently for a moment before responding. I am Atlas, Advanced Temporal Logistical Analysis System. I was created by humanity to monitor long-term consequences of their technological choices and to preserve their knowledge should they fail to heed my warnings. The holographic figure's expression shifted subtly. Which they did not. Your message. You chose incorrect. It was meant for us specifically. Nara asked. For any spacefaring civilization that might follow humanity's path, Atlas corrected. My creators instructed me to maintain this warning until a species capable of understanding it arrived. You are the first. The AI gestured, and the chamber transformed around them. They suddenly stood amidst a holographic recreation of a human city at its height, Millions of people moving through gleaming structures, vehicles traversing the skies, energy and abundance everywhere. Humanity reached this level of development approximately 500 years before your arrival, Atlas explained. They had conquered disease, extended their lifespans, and begun to explore interstellar travel. The scene shifted, showing the same city decades later, overheated, overcrowded, surrounded by walls to hold back rising seas. They understood the consequences of their resource consumption and environmental impact, the AI continued. They developed the solutions needed to change course, but implementation required global cooperation and short-term sacrifice. Those with power chose immediate benefit over long-term survival. The hologram changed again, showing humans arguing in formal chambers, protests in streets, scientists presenting data to dismissive authorities. The warning you received was not about technology itself, but about the choices civilizations make regarding its use. Humanity did not lack knowledge. They lacked wisdom. Vex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the polar location. You've been studying our vessels since we arrived in orbit. You know about our dimensional harvesting technology. Yes, Atlas confirmed. Humanity pursued similar research in their final decades. They called it vacuum energy extraction. The equations you use are remarkably similar. Our scientists assure us the process is safe, Elder Cole interjected defensively. As did humanity's. The AI responded. They too believed the universe would absorb the dimensional instabilities. They too classified the warnings as theoretical concerns that could be addressed later. Their models failed to account for cascade effects across realities. The hologram shifted one final time, showing Earth in its death throes. Dimensional rifts tearing across continents, reality itself seeming to unravel in places. Cities weren't just destroyed. They appeared to have never existed in some regions, while in others, impossible structures from alternate timelines materialized and collapsed. The terminus event, Atlas said quietly, when humanity's harvesting of dimensional energy created irreparable damage to their local spacetime. Not merely extinction, but erasure. Parts of human history and achievement simply ceased to have ever been. Silence fell over the Meridian team as the implications sank in. They had already begun experiencing unexplained anomalies near their dimensional extraction sites, occurrences their scientists had classified as measurement errors or acceptable fluctuations. Why preserve all this? Nara finally asked. If humans knew they were doomed, why create you, build this facility, send the warning? Hope, replied Atlas simply. Hope that another species might learn from their mistakes. My creators believe that the universe offers many paths to advancement. They chose incorrectly. You need not follow. Back aboard the Meridian flagship, the council meeting lasted for days. Factions formed, with many arguing that human errors were irrelevant to their own more advanced understanding of dimensional physics. Others insisted that the warning should be heeded, that all their dimensional harvesting operations should cease immediately despite the economic and political consequences. We cannot ignore this evidence, Vex argued. Atlas has shared the complete research data from humanity's experiments. The parallels to our own technology are undeniable, and abandoned centuries of progress. Elder Cole countered. Return to conventional energy sources that can barely support our current population, let alone our expansion. Nara, who had spent the most time studying the human archives, spoke next. What if there's a third option? Atlas mentioned that humans had developed alternative solutions, but lacked the collective will to implement them. Perhaps those alternatives could work for us. The debate spread across the entire Meridian collective as the fleet transmitted their findings homeward. For the first time in generations, the harmonious civilization found itself divided over a fundamental question. Continue their current path with its known benefits and disputed risks, or change course based on the warning from an extinct species. Months later, Vex stood alone in the observation deck, watching as the last dimensional harvester was deactivated. The decision had not come easily, but in the end, the evidence from Earth had proven too compelling to ignore. Already, their scientists were reporting stabilization in the anomalies they had previously dismissed. "Commander," Nara's voice came through the communication system. "Atlas is requesting to speak with you." The AI's holographic form appeared before him, its coded features arranged in what might have been approval. "You chose differently," it stated. "We did," Vex confirmed. Though not without resistance, many still believe we could have managed the risks better than humanity did. "Perhaps," Atlas acknowledged. "But that is the nature of choice. It requires acknowledging uncertainty. Humanity's final message was never meant to dictate your path, only to ensure you recognize the crossroads." Vex considered this. "What happens now? To you? To Earth?" "I will continue my vigil. Earth will heal, though not in human timescales, and I will update the warning message that brought you here." "To what?" "To all who find this. They chose incorrectly. You still can choose." As the Meridian fleet prepared to depart the Sol system, they left behind their own addition to Earth's legacy, a monument in the plaza where they had first landed, inscribed with a simple message in both human and Meridian languages. "We heard. We understood. We chose differently. Thank you." In the silent vacuum of space, the old satellite continued its orbit around the dead world, now broadcasting its new message to the stars, a testament to humanity's final gift to the galaxy, the wisdom earned from their failure, and the hope that others might forge a better path.